Without any further ado, Victor, I'd like to you join us and give him a nice round of applause.
Thank you so much, Harvey, for that wonderful introduction. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces out here. The first thing I should tell you is don't listen to anything that I'm about to say. I'm sure you've all seen plenty of disclaimers like that. You'll find this disclaimer on a lot of my videos. Whatever you hear from me tonight, a lot of it you can find on video on my YouTube channel, so don't worry too much. Of course, we always cover unique things when we're interacting with people, so it's always best to go face to face. Okay, hang on one second, let's see. Let's get my connection going here. Okay, so after telling you not to listen to me, I'm going to give you a little introduction of myself and tell you why you should listen to me. Okay, so just a little bit about my background. You'll see I'm a computer scientist, nutritionist, an emotion code practitioner. I'm very holistic in my approach to wellness. You can find me at the Middletown Health, Wellness, and Chiropractic Center every now and then. If you happen to be around Middletown, come say hello. I've been there since almost 2 years now, I think. As I mentioned, a senior computer scientist. I worked on a lot of government contracts. I was in the Air Force, satellite wideband communications tech. It's like a network engineer, kind of. Had my own IT business for about 30 years now in Japan. Closed down the business in the US. Taught computer science at Central Texas High School. Worked in a semiconductor lab. And then you'll see I did my graduate work in nutrition. So wellness was always a hobby. I never wanted to work as a wellness professional because I kind of hated Western medicine. And so I dabbled in everything of Ayurvedic practices, traditional Chinese medicine, you name it, shamanism, all kinds of things, right? I got really into Eastern philosophies, etc. So about 10 years ago, I formally transitioned into being a wellness practitioner. I love physics too, so I really get into the hard science. I like chemistry, biology, etc. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but the US Air Force gave me this crazy award. They thought I was the best technician in the world a long time ago. I'm a troubleshooter, right? And troubleshooting our health seemed like one of the best challenges, one of the most useful things I can do. So I like martial arts, I like video games, I like sports. I believe in all these things contribute to my own wellness. I don't ever want to grow up. I plan to be a kid forever. So right now I'm going to focus on detox and nutrition with you guys. I really get into energy, but even energy is either toxic or nutritious for you. You can look at it that way. So I want to give a shout out to the Warwick Conference Center. I spent my summer living and working there with disabled adults, a lot of autistic, Down syndrome, etc., all kinds of people. And it was really good because I have a lot of clients that I work with, right? So I'll work with the caregivers, the parents, etc. But to live and take care of those people is a different experience. And so I'm grateful that I got to do that for a couple of months. So anyway, let's get into the presentation, right? So detox and nutrition power tools. I want to give you 10 things that you can take away from here that you can use to maintain your wellness. And it's meant for everybody. It's not for rich people, right? A lot of these things are really cheap, cost almost nothing. Can even save you money depending on how you use them. So a little more context that I want to give you. As I mentioned, it's intended for all people, for all conditions. I don't specialize in any one ailment. Whatever the problem is, these tools are going to be helpful for you, okay? They're affordable, they're effective. I have a hidden agenda in everything I do, and that's to try to get people to engage more with their food, with their environment. We are not separate from the world, right? We are part of the world, physically, spiritually, energetically. And so when I'm guiding people, I'm trying to get them to engage more. Right, so it's my own personal hidden agenda. All right, so Some things that will not be discussed, but I will mention as I go through this. You might hear me talk about different devices. I love devices. I love energy medicine. But that's not part of this topic, right? It'll come up occasionally. And the other thing is water, right? Water is so important. I'm not going to dive into that, but it's part of just about everything I talk about. I have lots of videos on it if you're interested, okay? What we're going to be focusing on, like I said, is detox and nutrition power tools. These are the tools that I want to introduce you to. So in my opinion, these are the 10 most important things that I can point you to and educate you on. Right? I want to address some of the myths. I want to remove fears. I want to explain to you how incredibly powerful these things can be once you know how to use them. Okay? So I'm just going to jump right into the first one. Broth, soup, stew. This is nothing new to people here. When I have a client and I talk about this, I ask them, please talk to your grandparents or your ancestors, or think or remember how your elders made their food. We talk about like bone broth, and then people go out and they start, like boiling up the bones, but you don't have to go crazy like that. When I talk about this, I'm talking about soups, stews, broth, meat broth, stock, goulash, gumbo, curries. The idea is you're cooking, we say like nose to tail, and you're cooking at a low heat for a long time. That is how your ancestors cooked a lot of different things. All over the world, all different cultures. Throw a bunch of stuff in a pot. Herbs and spices, meats, vegetables, everything. Long time, low heat is the key. In our modern society, we tend to be in a rush. We use too much heat, and then we denature a lot of the nutrients. We end up destroying a lot of the good content. Right? If you cook things for a long time at low heat, you have time to draw out more nutrition. You have time for things to break down without denaturing, right? And then your body can absorb them more. It's like pre-digesting the food for you, right? So you'll see one of my favorite things, I have this picture here, bone tea. It's just broth. So if you're making a big pot of soup and you're saving the broth, I like to use chicken feet actually, personally. And I make this broth, and then you flavor it whatever way you want. The idea is get yourself to fall in love again with these kinds of foods. Make it a daily practice. Twice a day, 3 times a day, because most people are suffering from leaky gut. And there is no better cure for leaky gut than getting broth or soup. Like I said, anything you see on this list, you get that going through. Because when you're cooking low and slow and you've got some kind of meat, it could be fish too, right? You got collagen now bathing your digestive tract constantly, along with all the other nutrition, all the other metabolites that are needed to heal the gut, all right? The other thing is, I love the term bone tea because I end up, when my practice, when I'm on point, my broth displaces other things that are not so good for me, like maybe coffee or hot chocolate or teas that are not good. There's a lot of great teas out there, of course. And I'm not saying coffee is evil, but broth, man, it's hard to get something better than that. Right? So, now, you guys might have a lot of questions. Try to hold off on the questions, and I'll try to get through the 10 items, right? And then I'll address any questions you have about any of this stuff. Is that okay, Harv, if we'll try to hold off for a bit? Okay. All right, so again, low heat, long time, something that you love to consume. All right, number 2 on my list, maybe people are not familiar with, kefir or kefir. I just want to see some hands. How many people here know what this is if I say kefir or kefir? Okay, we got a few. Most of you don't. Think of it as like a yogurt drink, except that it is exponentially more powerful than any yogurt. And this is, again, it's ancient. Some people call it the manna of the gods. We're not exactly sure where it came from. It's been around for thousands of years, supposedly out of the Caucasus somewhere. I try to get all my clients on it. And I have a lot of clients that will come to me and say, I can't do dairy. And it's a very, very tiny percentage of people that really can't do dairy, right? The first problem we have is that most dairy in the supermarket is no longer dairy. It's so severely denatured, right? This ultra-high temperature pasteurization and homogenization really destroy milk. However, I still will get most of my clients onto kefir and back onto dairy. And one reason is the kefir, and you're seeing this, the picture here, these are called kefir grains, right? So the grains are a culture. A lot of you may have heard the term SCOBY. We use that term when we're making kombucha. A SCOBY is a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. And that looks like rubber cauliflower, kind of. And it's bacteria and yeast, and they create this very complex polysaccharide. We cannot produce this in a laboratory. We cannot. We can analyze it, and we can identify every bacteria and yeast that is in it, but we cannot create that. The only way to get those grains is to find somebody that has them. So just a reminder of how ignorant we are. That includes me. Right? We still know so very little, even about the most obvious things around us. So anyway, kefir, the second thing on my list, I try to get people to make it at home. And you get some grains. You can get them on Amazon, or you can get them from me or somebody you know. And you put it in milk, and it will ferment the milk overnight. Right? And then you strain out, you capture your grains again. So once you have your grains, you never need to get them again. They'll last you forever. Think of them as pets, like a dog or a cat or fish, and you want to feed the grains new milk every day. And it's going to turn that milk into kefir for you to drink.
What grain would you suggest?
I would suggest, really, it doesn't matter where you get the grains from. If you get them from me or you get them from Amazon, and the reason why it doesn't matter so much, when you get these grains, kefir grains, right? So not to be confused with the word grain like a wheat grain or rye or barley or something. No relation to those kinds of grains. So it's a terrible word, actually, to use. It's a culture. It's a kefir SCOBY, but they call them kefir grains. So when you're shopping for them, you're looking for these kefir grains. Now, the thing is, if I give you some of my grains and you start fermenting your milk at your house, your grains are going to adapt to your environment. They're going to pull in good bacteria and good yeast from the air, from the other food, etc. And they're going to kill anything that tries to invade them. They're practically unkillable. Yes, Joe, you wanted to ask? Okay. Yes, very good. Yeah, so they keep growing. And so I can continuously give them to people because they just keep growing. And so as they grow, in my family, like one of my brothers, they have dogs. So we're always giving the extra grains to the dogs. Yeah, so and the dogs love them. Great for pets.
Is this the same as a starter?
Yes, you can think of it as a starter. This is your starter culture. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can use it for so many different things. But the key point is you're just using it to ferment the milk. And it keeps growing. You give it to friends. You can eat the grains also. It's good. Like I'll sometimes blend the extra grains into the kefir. Now I have to admit something very sad. I cannot stand the taste of kefir. I cannot drink it. I can't drink it plain. However, this is actually a great thing because I do something called a second fermentation. I take the disgusting kefir that I cannot stand the taste of, and I blend it with bananas, organic cocoa powder, sometimes a little peanut butter, a bunch of other superfoods that I like to mix in there. And I end up making the most insanely delicious shakes that I actually feel guilty drinking. And I can do crazy things, like if I blend in an avocado, it will become like pudding. I can make a chocolate pudding. I did this with my daughter, actually, because she refused to have kefir. And I just fooled her. I was just making chocolate pudding. And she was like, oh, this is great. Yeah. So, endless recipes. I mean, I'll do apple cinnamon with a little maple syrup, and it's like drinking an apple pie. Sometimes I'll just do banana and an orange peel, and I take the orange peel out the next day, and it's like a creamsicle. So the flavors are endless. So same idea, similar to what I mentioned with the soups and the stews. You take this and you make it your own, and you make it so delicious that you can't get enough of it. The idea is that you are incorporating these things into your life forever, right? It's not a drug or something else. It's not something temporary. You want to make a lifestyle change. And you want to be engaged with your food, because when you are connecting to your food, you want to pour your love into your food. That is a very real thing. We can energetically measure this. Your love, pouring your love into the food, has an impact. Okay, so that's why I want people to engage with their food. And I don't want them thinking, oh my God, I have to drink this disgusting thing because it's good for me. No. You want it to be delicious. And you can. And the first time you have kefir, you might not like it at all. Right? The same thing when you do if you do a soup or a stew or whatever. But you find a way, you play with it. Right? There's just endless, you can go out there and just Google kefir recipes. There are people that make ice cream out of it. If you blend it with papaya, it'll have like a jello consistency. So there's incredible variability, and the nutrition in kefir is insane. So kefir has over 100 peptides that are not even found in milk. And peptides are very, very powerful, right? The amino acids, proteins, fats, and minerals, it's got everything. You know, just generally speaking, dairy in general is one of the best electrolytes you can get. Most people don't know that. They go out and they get these electrolyte powders and all this other stuff. No, just have a glass of raw milk. Now, I know that the problem is it can be difficult to get healthy milk. But this is another reason why I love kefir. I tell people, get the best milk you can get. Get the best. If you can get raw, great. If not, try to get non-homogenized. Try to get low temperature pasteurized. But get milk and make kefir, because the kefir is going to break down the proteins, the fats, right? The sugars. It completely consumes the lactose. So if you say, oh, I'm lactose intolerant, well, guess what? You start using kefir, you're no longer lactose intolerant, because it's giving you the bacteria that make the enzyme, and it's eating all the lactose in the milk when you're fermenting it. Right? So I'm going to have to go on to the next thing. I can talk for 3 hours about kefir. But the broth and the kefir, that's 1 and 2 for me always with my clients. Right? And like I said, I have lots of videos online. I have even video testimonials online. So you can dig deeper into this on your own. And we'll get to questions later also about this stuff. All right, so let me jump to the next thing. Okay, MSM. Let me see a show of hands again. Who has ever heard of MSM? All right, we've got a few people. Now, there might be more of you that actually do know, because a lot of people take joint supplements, chondroitin, right, glucosamine. There's usually MSM also in there. MSM is found in the rain, right? So it's a very natural thing. It's easy to manufacture, right, or easy to harvest. I normally don't like anything that's manufactured, right? I do not like most supplements and things. So I'm not going to be talking to you about a lot of supplements. I'm going to be talking to you about natural things. MSM is organic sulfur, right? It's like I said, it's in nature. We used to get a lot of it. We don't anymore. It's very easy to supplement with, and it is very cheap. You can go on Amazon or wherever your favorite place is, and you can get like a 3-month supply for about $10. It's incredible for so many different things. It will help your healing and detox, right? We all need help with detox, and this helps you detox at the cellular level. If you've got hay fever, right, or other allergies, a lot of times it's because your cells are being clogged up with histamine. It can't get the histamine out of the cells fast enough. MSM will resolve that. I cannot tell you how many hundreds, possibly thousands of people that I've pointed to MSM and their allergies just like disappeared. They would carry around MSM with them. I've had people tell me stories about how they couldn't walk through a perfume center in a department store. And then I said, try carrying the MSM with you. You can take it in capsules, or you can even have in a spray bottle. You dissolve it in some water and spray your face. And immediately the eyes relax, the nose relaxes, because the cells are able to detox the histamine. So MSM helps with everything. It helps with the uptake of nutrients, and it helps with the release of toxins from the cells. Right? And it's also one of the most important, sulfur itself is one of the most important precursors for glutathione, which is our body's master detox. You hear a lot of people selling glutathione supplements. If I have a client that is taking glutathione, I will ask them to stop. The first reason is they're not going to absorb most of that glutathione that they're ingesting. The second thing is your body can make so much if you give it what it needs. And sulfur is one of the big bottlenecks, and MSM is the best way to get sulfur into the body. So, one of the best things, much better than glutathione if you need more glutathione, and we all do actually. So anyway, MSM helps with all these different things. It's great for your hair. A lot of people will notice a difference in their hair, their skin, their fingernails when they start taking MSM. I have a great video on MSM that I would recommend people go and watch, where I jump into more detail, and it's a little bit fun. And I go through dosing, because you can go buy MSM and it'll say, hey, take 3 grams of this a day. I got people that'll take 20 grams a day. So this is another great thing. I have some really good conversations also with the different AI engines talking about MSM. Because if let me ask you another question. How many people here have heard of NAC? A lot more people know of NAC, right? Because it makes a lot of money for a lot of people. You're much better off taking MSM. You don't hear about MSM because people can't get rich off of it. That's the truth. Right? So I can show you, I have discussions with AI where I get into this argument. I'm like, no. NAC, you got to be real careful with dosage. I can go crazy with MSM. And the cost effectiveness, there's no equal. Right? So like I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the things I'm talking about are for everybody. Right? Cheap. Cost, performance is important. If you can't afford it, there's no meaning to it. Right? MSM is so affordable, and the benefits are huge. Right? Also, it helps. It's very, very powerful for methylation, which is why it helps so much with healing. Your body has to reproduce its DNA all the time. Right? You guys probably hear a lot of stories about methylation. That's another thing that gets talked about a lot. MSM, it's basically, you see it's a big sulfur in the middle, and it's 2 methane groups and 2 oxygens. That's it. Very, very simple molecule. All right, I'm going to go to the next one. Again, if you have questions about this, we'll come back to it later. And I do have, like I said, I do have stuff online about it. Okay, one of the things I'm going to highlight as I go through this presentation, the MSM from the earth. Nature gives us like everything we need. It really does. You guys just need to be pointed at it, right? So like I said, MSM, completely natural. It's in the rain, used to be on everything. Okay, the next thing, magnesium, right? So magnesium also, of course, from the earth. Magnesium oil. How many people here take a magnesium supplement? Lots of you, right? You're swallowing down some kind of pill or capsule. If you were my clients, I'd say, stop doing that. Sometimes it's really good. I actually have some videos where I'll say, okay, look, sometimes doctors will say, take magnesium citrate if you're constipated, right? That's the wrong reason to take magnesium, but it is very effective for that. But it's kind of a negative thing because it's pulling the water out of your body right into the digestive tract. So you don't really want to do that. When we take magnesium internally, we have some minor risks with drug interactions and things like that. We have no idea how much you're going to absorb. The supplements are expensive. Magnesium chloride. Did I mention this? I do. Yes, magnesium chloride, also referred to as Nigadi salt or bittern, magnesium flakes. You'll see it advertised different ways. The cost performance for a human to get magnesium into their body, and I mean bioavailable magnesium into the body, nothing can compete with magnesium chloride, not even close. So again, whatever supplements you have, and I have videos where I call out every practitioner, everybody's selling magnesium supplements because they make money. Magnesium supplements are a great profit center for so many people. And it breaks my heart every time I see another famous practitioner selling their own brand of magnesium supplement. There's just no reason for it. Everybody should be buying magnesium chloride and mixing it with distilled water and then spraying that on their body. You can take that internally also. You can just, you put it in a spray bottle, you can spray a little here, spray it in your water, your drinks, your food. So you can still take some magnesium internally if you want. You can do both. Excuse me. But yeah, so for cost performance, there's no way to get as much magnesium into the body as using magnesium oil. And you'll see I have this little picture here, just a convenient spray bottle. I have these little bottles all over my house. Everybody in my family uses magnesium oil. So it's in every bedroom, in the bathroom. You can spray once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. A lot of people are familiar with this for muscle cramps. Right? You get a muscle cramp and you get some magnesium balm, maybe a cream or a lotion or a spray. You can have instant miraculous results. Let me just grab water here for a second. Hey. I'm doing a little too much talking. I'm drying up over here. So magnesium is very important for more than just cramps. I actually don't list all the benefits here. That's better. Okay, so the topical magnesium oil, like I said, is extremely safe. You can absorb a lot of it by taking it topically. It is good not just for muscle cramps. It is good for anxiety. It'll help you relax. It'll help you sleep better. I think a lot of people know that already. A lot of you are probably educated quite well on magnesium, so I'm not going to go through all the benefits, but they're enormous. Right? There are thousands of things that require magnesium in the body. The big thing for me also, magnesium is not just a nutrient, but as a nutrient, it's very, very important for empowering our body's detox. Right? So we know that our ancestors, they took in a lot more magnesium than we do. So let's say even if you're supplementing with magnesium oil and you can reach the same level of intake that our ancestors had, you will still be deficient because we live in a more toxic world. We need to do more detox. And so we're going to burn up more magnesium just through our detox pathways, through our detox metabolism. right? So you really can take advantage of a lot of magnesium. Nearly impossible to overdose on magnesium unless you're doing IV or something really crazy. Again, there are potential issues when you're doing it internally, which again is why I love it topically, because you can spray often, you can spray all over the body. It's a great deodorant, by the way. So, and hopefully nobody here is using a deodorant because most deodorants are toxic. But if you feel you need a deodorant, try using magnesium oil. It's great. Because it's basically a salt. It's called magnesium oil, but it is not oil. It's just it's very dense magnesium. It's magnesium salt and distilled water. All right? And it's super saturated, so it kind of feels oily. I add MSM. So on the previous slide, I talked about MSM. MSM is great to add to your magnesium oil. It helps the magnesium absorb better, and the MSM is good for your skin. But I didn't mention it on the last slide, but you can find beauty products that have MSM in them. So MSM is very good here. You can, like I said, I make my own magnesium oil. I have videos showing you how to make your own. If you want to go just on Amazon and buy a magnesium oil, you could do that too. And you'll find I think Ancient Minerals has they call it Magnesium Oil Ultra. And it's just distilled water, magnesium chloride, and MSM. Perfect. So, Ancient Minerals, great brand. But if you look at their magnesium lotion, and you look at the ingredients, it's filled with a ton of garbage. So this is where we got to be very careful. If you're going to go out and buy products, you got to read the ingredients. Because magnesium oil and a magnesium lotion or a magnesium balm, it might sound the same, it might look the same on the front, but you got to check the ingredients. Right? We don't want to add more toxins to the body. This is a huge, huge problem. We got to be as clean as possible. All right? Okay, so I go to the next one here. Clays and zeolites. All right. Clay, bentonite clay. Most people probably have heard of clay, right? I mean, clay is everywhere. Humans have been using clay for thousands of years. Animals use clay. Elephants use clay. Birds use clay. So many different animals, when they don't feel good, they will seek out clay. There are birds that love to eat a certain kind of fruit that can kill them. But they love the fruit. So before consuming the fruit, they consume clay. Birds, I'm talking about, right? So clay has been around for a long time, used by all different cultures. There's great clay all over the world. You'll usually hear people talk about bentonite clay, calcium bentonite clay, or sodium bentonite clay. In recent years, the governments have tried to stop people from using clay internally. So what I'm talking about here is taking clay internally, not just as a face mask. Everybody knows they're great for masks. That's fantastic. You can do a lot of cool things with clay. But I'm talking about using it internally. You put a spoonful of clay into a mason jar of distilled water. You shake that up, and you leave that on your counter and let it breathe. It's going to grab some of the oxygen from the air. And then the next day, you drink some of that clay. And maybe you drink it before every meal. You drink a little before every meal. Clay is unbelievable. Over a period of about 2 weeks, your body will adapt to it. It can get rid of constipation. It can get rid of diarrhea. Two opposite things, but clay helps to balance the gut. It helps to pull out toxins. Right? Again, I have a lot of information about clay. I have a guide on clay, how to do what I just explained to you, just mixing some clay into water. I have no specific recommendations on brands for clay because there's a lot of good clay everywhere, like I said, all over the world. And people and animals have been consuming clay from nature forever. Right? Me personally, I'm usually using like Redmond's brand And their clay is kind of a good balance between calcium and sodium. But there are other, calcium bentonite, look for calcium bentonite clay, it's the most gentle. But clay can help you out a lot. I've had a lot of clients, the same thing. Again, it costs you almost nothing. It is so cheap and so easy to use. And don't be scared off by the labels that say, do not use internally. This is like the same issue with raw milk, right? If you're in New York, I think New Jersey too, I forget, we have some states where raw milk is still illegal. And yeah, the same thing, right? And so it says not for human consumption, so these things are just not true, right? Clay is very safe. Of course, you still want a reputable clay. You always want reputable products, right? Because there's always somebody out there scamming us. So you want to get something that other people are using. You want to make sure it's safe. But clay is fantastic. I can't say enough good things about clay. Now, zeolites and clay, most of you probably don't know about zeolites while you do know about clay. They're almost the same thing, but they perform completely different in the body. So clay, as I mentioned to you, you're going to mix clay with water. And clay and water have a very complex relationship. They love each other, and they work together in your body. Clay has very complex electromagnetic properties. We can make clay magma that we can put on the body. There's all kinds of complex topics. There is a great podcast that I did with the Western Price Foundation. If you go and you search Wise Traditions podcast, you'll see I have a discussion with Hilda Labrador on clay where I dive deep into it. So clay and water have a very complex relationship. Zeolite doesn't care about water. And when you put zeolite into your body, it just rides the water. It doesn't bind to anything. You guys probably, does everybody know the word chelation? Have you heard the word chelation? Right, chelating agents, right? So technically, a chelating agent will bind to something. Like if you get poisoned, you take something very, very strong that's going to go bind to the poison. It's going to chelate. It's going to pull it out of your body. But chelation means something is grabbing something else and making a new compound that is now still a bit toxic, but less toxic, and it has to be metabolized. It has to be processed. Zeolites and clay do not work by chelation. They are not chelators, even though they're sometimes said to be. They work by cationic exchange. They simply trade one element for another. So the zeolites and clays will be loaded like with magnesium and calcium, good minerals. And when they come across aluminum, mercury, lead, they will swap out the magnesium for the toxic heavy metal. Because the toxic heavy metals have a much stronger positive charge. It's a very, very simple thing. It's like a magnet, exactly as you imagine. Now the zeolite, because it doesn't even care about water, the zeolite just runs through your body like this crazy magnet, and it just grabs the heavy metals. And then it just exits your body. Whether you exhale or sweat or urine, it just goes out. And so there's no processing by the body. There is no metabolism. There are no metabolites. The body needs nothing else to get rid of toxins. So zeolite is fantastic for offloading that load, that toxic load. Because as I mentioned earlier, your body has all these very wonderful, complex detox machinery, these detox pathways, but it needs things like magnesium to use those pathways. But zeolite doesn't need anything. It's just a magnet that runs through the body and comes out. Now, the one thing about zeolites is they are not so cheap. So I actually, also from the earth, both clays and zeolites are from the earth. And I put up a QR code here if it's okay. Is it okay for me to show QR codes, Harvey? Is that all right? So this will link you to the product page of the zeolites where you can read a lot more about it. And there are two particular zeolites that I point to. And the reason why is that one of the zeolites, it's called PBX. It is the smallest zeolite in the world. It has no equal. There's no other company that makes a zeolite that small. And so as we know, when something is smaller, it has more surface area. So it can grab more things. It can also get deeper into the body. It moves through the body much more easily.
Is that particle size?
Yes, exactly, the particle size. So there are two brands, it's one company that they make two zeolites, and they make them in two different sizes. The one is, like I said, it's the smallest there is. They have no competitor, and it's incredibly effective. But it's not super cheap. You know, you could spend like $60 a month just on that zeolite. Okay? But again, you can see endless testimonials about it. It's incredible. Now, the zeolites are not something you would use forever. You would use those until your body can catch up. You get to a point where your body is now detoxed, you're feeling better, then you don't need the zeolites anymore. Now, clay you can keep using forever if you want, because it costs almost nothing. Clay is so cheap, right? It's different from the zeolites, because the zeolites will get everywhere into the body because of the size. The clay stays in the gut, right? The clay stays in the gut. They work good together. The synergy is fantastic. Very good synergy. So when I'm working with clients, I have them using clays, zeolites, sometimes a combination of different clays, because different clays have different affinities for different toxins. Right? So there's a lot of different things you can do. You can really go deep into researching clays and zeolites, and you can kind of have a lot of fun with them. But again, these are the best detox tools for just pure detox. Now, some people will say, well, you're getting some minerals from them. As I mentioned, clay and zeolite, they work through cation exchange. They're giving your body good minerals when they take the heavy metals out. That's how they work. But the amount of minerals that they give you are so small, I don't consider them nourishing. These are purely detox agents. So, thank you. Good stuff. Probably a lot of you have heard glyphosate. These things will help get rid of some of the glyphosate. I mean, it's not just heavy metals. They'll help you detox just about everything. Okay, so I'm going to guess this might be the most controversial thing I have on here, the colloidal silver. How many people have heard of colloidal silver? Quite a few have, yeah. How many here are afraid of colloidal silver? Okay, we have some. Okay. So, it was maybe about 20 years ago when I came across colloidal silver, and the only thing I saw in the beginning was all the fear-mongering and the blue people and all of this. And as I mentioned to you, most of my life I've been a computer scientist, so the first thing I would do, I would kind of hack the websites and find out where the information was coming from. And it would always take me back to pharmaceutical companies or something related to that, which made me look further into colloidal silver. So I've been using colloidal silver for 20 years. I have a 20-year-old daughter that's been drinking colloidal silver since she's 3 years old, and she is not blue. She also never missed a day of school in her life, never missed a day of work, right? So I would love to tell you I never get sick. Oh, someone's got a question. Okay, I'll allow one exception for a question. Go ahead.
Do you take it every day?
I used to take colloidal. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because I was going to go into this. In the beginning, I used to drink a glass of colloidal silver every day. I don't know. I can't tell you how many years I did that. I was drinking a glass a day, and I'm part of some private groups with like scientists and engineers where we talk about colloidal silver all the time. And a lot of them were saying, you don't have to drink that much. Like you take a sip of it, swish it around your mouth, let it get absorbed into the body. So over the years, I started reducing the amount I would use. And I keep it by my bedside. I'll take a sip at night before I go to bed. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll take a sip. When I wake up in the morning, I'll take another sip, swish it around my mouth, swallow. And then I have a lot of different protocols where I use it. I have some interesting articles. I used to have many videos, but the videos get taken down. Funny story, I created a preview of this presentation for Harvey and Joe to look at, and I put it on YouTube privately for them. YouTube ripped it down within 10 minutes. So I have a lot of content that I cannot share publicly because the censorship is still very real.
You didn't mention what you use colloidal silver for. Anti-parasitic, antiviral, antibacterial?
All of the above. So here's the thing. Colloidal silver empowers our immune system. There's a great book by Dr. Robert Beck, The Body Electric, where he talks about it. He makes the argument that silver actually is a nutrient. We just don't recognize that formally yet. We cannot understand. We understand a lot about silver, but not everything. You probably know silver is getting very powerful with bandages and burn victims. It's the only thing that can help people heal from third-degree burns without scarring. I have a very gory photo. I had a motorcycle accident when I was in Costa Rica about 6 years ago. I was up in the mountains, and I split open my knee. I could put a golf pole in the hole. I had nothing except colloidal silver and napkins. I have no damage. I can crawl around on my hands and knees with no problem. There's a little scar there. I never got stitches for it. So it's good for topical healing. Silver it is, as you said, it's an antiviral, antibacterial. It's kind of anti-everything. So when you put it in a wound topically, it helps keep the wound clean. But there's also something with it triggering stem cells. Because healing is beyond normal when we use silver, which is what we see with the burn victims. If I try to put this information publicly, like I said, YouTube will rip it down. At the same time, I can show you tons of advertisements from companies that sell curtains, tools, tables, all kinds of things to hospitals, and they make all these claims about silver. As long as you don't talk about taking it internally, if you don't compete with the drugs, you can talk about silver. But when I talk about taking it internally, I can't tell you it'll cure anything, right? That's when I get in trouble, right? So they don't want us talking about that. Okay, one more question.
I got another different. What name brand do you use?
No brand. Okay, so you're a little bit ahead of me, but you're reading my mind. Because the thing, do I have it? Actually it's sad. I should have written it here. I have clients that tell me I buy such and such colloidal silver. I say, please don't buy that anymore. Never buy colloidal silver. It's very expensive. No. You buy a device and you make your own. I bought a device. It cost me $160. I'm making, I don't know how many thousands of gallons of colloidal silver for family, friends, and clients for years. The silver wires that come with the device last for years. We're using very, very little. We're talking about 10 parts per million is what we're making. Are you reading my mind again back there?
You're going to say the name of the device?
A silver puppy.
The company?
A silver puppy is my favorite device. Silverpuppy.com. It's very small, private guy. There are other devices out there. You can also go to sota.com, SOTA.com. They also make a device which does blood electrification and makes colloidal silver. But I mentioned I'm not going to talk about devices in this presentation. That's another favorite thing of mine, though. There are many good devices out there. You can make your own. You take a few 9-volt batteries and you string them together and you get some pure silver wire and you can just do it on your own. But the device is worth it because it has auto shut off, automatically stops when it gets to 10 parts per million. don't believe the hype about all the silver products. Because remember, again, I'm going to go back to the beginning, what I mentioned. I'm talking about things that are for everybody. Cost effectiveness is so important. So making colloidal silver at home, which technically is electrically isolated silver because there's some silver oxide, there's all different sizes of silver when we're making it at home. So you have these products that are being sold saying, hey, this is 50 parts per million, we have the smallest silver colloid in the world, it's more effective. It doesn't matter. It will not be more effective in practice. Because I can afford to drink a quart of colloidal silver or 2 quarts a day. And by the way, I cannot hurt myself doing that. I would die of water poisoning before I can hurt myself with a silver in a 10 ppm colloidal silver. And I know because I've done this, and I know other people that have done this, because I used to get paranoid if I thought I was coming down with the flu. Oh my gosh, I'd probably drink a half a gallon of colloidal silver in a day just to make sure I wasn't going to get sick. I would still feel a bit lousy, but basically silver keeps me on my feet. Yeah, I just, okay, what am I going to say next? You want to tell me what I'm going to say next?
Okay, this is a little thinking. So 10 parts per million, 20 parts per million, does it cause you to turn blue? At what point, like how high would the parts per million have to be?
Okay, it's a good question. It's actually not so much about the parts per million, but it's about the people that turn blue were putting salt in the water. So now they're making silver chloride. And they were doing this because if we go way back in the day, everybody was excited and they were trying to make as much colloidal silver as fast as they could to give it to their friends and everything else. And then, was that me? No. Okay. That's so the parts per million is not really the culprit. It's when you have other things in the silver. You want just silver and water. So you got to use distilled water, no salt.
Are you using this in place of an antibiotic?
Me personally, I never use antibiotics. I haven't had to use an antibiotic.
Is that a useful?
You could. I'm not sure if I can legally say that. I think I'm safe in this room, but yes, for me, I use it. So, for example, like I said, myself, my daughter, a lot of my family at this point haven't used antibiotics. Now, I grew up using antibiotics until 20 years ago. So everything changed for me 20 years ago. And then I stopped getting sick when I stopped taking antibiotics and everything else. So, so for me, you can say that. But I use it as a preventative. So colloidal silver, because it cost me basically nothing, right? Like I have the device, it cost me nothing. I think it actually probably helps me stay better hydrated, because otherwise I don't drink water. So at least I'm drinking some colloidal silver. I'm really bad about drinking water, but at least I'm drinking some colloidal silver because I'm a little paranoid, right? So it cost me kind of nothing. And again, not just for people, but for pets too. And I'm drinking it also if you've got like conjunctivitis or sty in the eye. Wow, colloidal silver wipes that out so fast. One night. You sleep, I soak it with cotton, sleep with that over my eye. That stuff is gone the next day. I cannot overemphasize or exaggerate how powerful colloidal silver is, but it's not a magic pill. It's not a magic pill. So, okay, last question before I.
Okay, what would be the difference between colloidal silver and ozone water?
Okay, that's interesting. I happen to love ozone water. It is not on my list. It is one of my favorite things that I have talked about previously. And I can tell you the best device for ozone, to make ozonated water, also at sota.com, SOTA.com, if you're interested in ozone. Ozone is not nearly as powerful as colloidal silver when it comes to stopping microbes. And maybe after I get through the presentation, maybe I'll circle back to ozone, because I'd like to highlight the differences. Ozone is great for cleaning up the body as a detox aid to help prevent Herxheimer reactions. And of course it is good, but don't waste your time on like 10 pass ozone therapies and all that. No, go to sota.com, get your own machine and make ozonated water and drink that. But that's another story. I should have put that on the list, but it's not here.
Use for cancer treatment too.
Yes, very good. Yeah. Also, you can, if you go, again, you can search my information, my website, my YouTube channel. You'll hear me talking about ozone and the Beck protocol, where both colloidal silver and ozone are used. All right, so I'm going to have to move on from this, but again, hopefully we'll still have time. And again, look, silver's from the earth. Silver has been used for thousands of years. The Romans and Greeks used silver. Okay? So silver is not new. Colloidal, our ability to use it internally, but silverware. You think we weren't using silver internally for thousands of years? With silver goblets and silverware? No. Our ancestors knew something about silver. That is not an accident. Right? Silver is too soft. It's not really, it doesn't make sense. Hold on to your question.
I got two more questions.
All right, well, hold on to them. I got to make sure. I'm just a little worried about the time. We're okay on time still? Yeah. Let me get through, and we'll get back to those. Because we still have, I'm guessing nobody knows what this is. Effective microbes, EM. Maybe a couple people, anybody ever hear of effective microbes from Emro, Japan? I think Joe and Harvey, because it came up several months ago. Now I have a video on this, and I have an article on this, and I can say things about this, and you will think I'm absolutely out of my mind. This special combination of bacteria, yeast, and phototropic bacteria, they discovered that when a volcano wipes out everything, this special combination is what rebuilds life. So they started to harvest it and grow it, and now they can recover life they can bring dead lakes back to life. Salted lands they can bring back to life. Things that we thought were impossible, they will clean up radiation, like Fukushima. The only reason why this has not totally cleaned up Fukushima by itself is because of politics and business. Because cleanup is big business. EM is used in almost every country in the world. In the US, it's kind of heavily suppressed. It's used for farming. Very, very good for farming. I'm here to talk to you not about the farming, but about using it in your home. You get a little bottle of EM, and sure, you can use it in your garden. It's going to be much better for your gardening, your farming, etc. But you can add it to any kind of ferment, and it's going to make your ferment more powerful, stronger, safer. Like if you have a hard time, let's say beet kvass is very difficult to ferment. It's very delicate. The EM will help to protect that a bit. Also, you can clean your counters, you spray your walls. It is a probiotic for your environment. You can use it internally and externally. So I don't want to go and spray colloidal silver or ozone all over my environment to sterilize it. That's completely unnatural. As I said, we are part of the world, right? When I mentioned kefir earlier, I talked about how kefir is going to take the good stuff out of your environment and then incorporate it, and you're going to consume it. So kefir helps you to adapt to your local environment. The way that local honey does, most people probably know that, right? These are the ways we need to behave. We need to act like we are part of the world, and you're going to be healthier if you do that. So while I love colloidal silver and I love ozone or ozonated water internally to help us, I don't like using it externally. No, I want my environment to be natural. So EM helps my environment stay natural. It helps to suppress the bad bacteria and helps the good ones thrive.
What does EM stand for?
Effective microbes. Yep, effective microbes. And this is the company, it's a Japanese company that actually discovered this doctrine in Japan. You've got third-party companies all over the world. Terraganics, I probably should have mentioned them here. But you can go to Amazon and kind of search for it. You'll see different products. But the idea is you just want to get this EM and you want to use it to kind of clean your house. It will reduce, so let me give you some like practical things. It's going to reduce the static electricity. It's going to reduce the dust. These microbes are going to reduce the dust that accumulates all over your house. I took a pair of rusty scissors and I put them into some water with EM. And the EM ate the rust. And like I said, I have a video, I have an article. I don't want to say too much because then you're just going to, it's too crazy. It's too unbelievable. EM is so powerful for all these things, like I said, internally, externally, cleaning, reducing static. Just go and research it. So, right, I just want to point you to these certain things. Right? Very, very powerful. Okay, one question.
Real quick, these two electric effects with acid bacteria equals celery, right?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different strains of lactic acid bacteria. Right, very popular for many different fermentations. Yes. So this is very, very common. So we know there's so much research. We know that this is good for us specifically, right, for a lot of different things, like for sourdoughs. Instead, sourdough is really good for you for the sourdough starters. But these three things, they work together. They work in concert. Okay, so it's very, very interesting. And I don't recall off the top of my head the specific strain of lactic acid bacteria that is found working with this certain yeast and this certain phototrophic bacteria. But you can get the details. The details are out there. Okay, so again, like I said, from the earth, they found this, at volcanic sites. This is what helps life recover. Okay, sunshine and earthing. I really don't think I actually need to say too much here. Everybody knows how important sunshine and earthing is. Very good to do them together at the same time. It's not just for vitamin D, right? Antimicrobial. You're picking up the nourishing ions. We're a battery, right? We are electric beings. So the energy is so, so important. I think most of you know about the circadian rhythms. Try to catch the sunrise, the sunset. Try to get some midday sun, right? So powerful. You can resolve so many problems just with this, and it costs you nothing. Again, incredibly powerful. Now, at the very bottom of this list, I have this word lunaception. And I'm guessing nobody here knows what lunaception is. Yeah, the moon. So everybody understands our circadian rhythms and how the sunrise and the sunset, when we catch that, it helps to keep that daily rhythm, right? We have all these internal clocks. We have a monthly clock. And not just women, men have a monthly clock also. It's just more obvious with women. And that clock is controlled by the moon. And it is controlled by moonlight. So we sync, our monthly cycles sync according to the moonlight. And of course, most of us are living in artificial light, even sleeping in artificial light or darkness. So I have clients, and don't believe anything I tell you. You go and research this. So you're going to go home and you're going to research lunaception. And you're going to hear, again, the most insane testimonials. And I can tell you from my own clients. A young girl, 19 years old, her father was a doctor. Insane monthly cramps, crazy bleeding. I tell her, okay, this is what I want you to do. Sleep in total darkness, or as dark as you can make it. And when the moon is full, put on a night light in your room to simulate the moonlight. So just a nightlight, simulate the cycles of the moon. If you can't do it naturally, look, if you're sleeping out in the wild, that's great. But most of us are not. Simulate the cycle of the moonlight. Within 3 months, most women will see insane changes in their monthly cycle. Your monthly cycle will line up with the full moon or the new moon. Cramps, bleeding, pain, etc. will reduce. Don't listen to me. Go look it up. Go listen to the women that talk about it. It's unbelievable. And again, men have cycles too. It's just not as obvious. So for hormonal balance and all that other stuff, lunaception. Yeah, it's not just the sunshine, the moonshine or the moonlight, also very, very, very powerful. So again, I don't think I need to go into details about sunshine and earthing. The one secret that I really wanted to share on this was the lunaception, because it's, again, it doesn't cost anything, it's for everybody. Okay, and mind over matter, right? And I'm guessing this audience, most of you probably would agree, would believe the mind conquers all. If you don't believe what I'm telling you today, well, obviously you're not going to take any further steps in research or anything else, or you're going to create a very different reality. If you believe what I'm telling you, you're going to do more research, you're going to have more positive, you're going to be more confident. We know, we can measure the difference when we believe, when we think positive, right? There are so many different protocols, there are so many ways to control your beliefs. I have some videos on like guided meditations. Meditation is great, prayer is great. I work with clients all over the world. I lived in Japan for 30 years. So most of my clients are remote. I happen to be Italian, so I'm Christian, I'm Catholic. But I have clients that are Jewish, I have clients that are Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu. I tell all my clients, embrace your belief. Whatever it is. As long as you believe there's something more powerful than us, that we're not in a mechanistic world, embrace that. Because it's real, it's true, there's power beyond the physical. Look into ancient traditions. Like I said, check out my YouTube channel. I have some pretty cool guided meditations to help people reprogram their beliefs, to deprogram, to get rid of brainwashing. So there's a lot, again, a lot of you here are probably familiar with a lot of different self-help methods. Everyone's got their own favorites, right? So you got to go find what is your favorite thing. Like I mentioned with the kefir or with the soup, go find something that you're attracted to, right? You don't like the sound of my voice, go find someone else that says similar things but has a more pleasant sounding voice, right? Whatever you do, and it's the same thing here, find something that's going to reinforce positive beliefs, because mind over matter is a very real thing, okay? Okay, so I'm on to the last one here, and this is boron. And make your own boron, or your own boron tonic from borax. Everybody here knows what borax is, right? It's a laundry booster, right? Like a detergent. Yeah, exactly. Was it 2 Mule team or something? Yes. 20 Mule, 20. I can never remember if it's 20 Mule. Yeah. Yes. So now borax is another thing. It just comes from the earth, right? It's mined. We've got a great borax mine somewhere in the Midwest. Now, borax is also used as rat poison. It's great for killing cockroaches. It could be quite toxic, right? But we're also using it as a laundry booster. Now, I'm going to tell you something pretty crazy, and I give this away. I can't sell it because maybe I can get sued. But you take a teaspoon of borax, and you put that in a quart of water. And now you got a boron tonic. And then you take a teaspoon of that a day. And now you're going to make sure your body has enough boron. 1 quart or 1 liter, for those of us that are metric, to 1 teaspoon of borax. And then just you drink 1 teaspoon of that a day. So you take a teaspoon of that and put it into another beverage, into your broth or your kefir, your coffee, whatever, into a glass of water. And so there are people, again, arthritis, osteoporosis, bone strength, muscle strength, memory, skin health, brain fog, boron. So there are groups out there. There are groups of people out there that are really big on boron. They scare me a little bit because you do have to be careful with the amount of boron. That, like I said, right? We also can use it to kill rats and cockroaches. It could be toxic. But a teaspoon of that tonic a day can't hurt anybody. And it's safe to keep. So I have like little bottles that I keep in the house so nobody can possibly get hurt by it. Okay? I don't do anything with strontium. Yeah. I don't do anything to take it. Yeah. Yeah, it's also, I mean, right, we have so many of these trace elements or trace minerals that are so important for our health. But boron seems to be one of the keys that's also been depleted from our soils, etc. And has a big impact. And it's easy, right? So again, the thing is, these are tools that anybody can use. It doesn't matter how poor you are, right? It's so easy. And it's easy, it's safe, and it's incredibly effective for so many things. Right?
So can I ask you a question? So I have that borax, and I'll throw a little bit into my towels, and I'll say, I'm so stupid. I'm using all this free, clear, healthy detergent, and I'm throwing borax in it. And I say, oh, we're just using it this time. So it's like,
Yeah, continue. Absolutely. Continue using it. Because the borax is cheap, right? So it does, and it's helping the laundry. I mean, again, it's just such a cheap thing. So yeah, keep using it. You know, it's been used for a very long time. So I trust our ancestors more than I trust our modern science. Most of our modern science, most studies are showing that the previous studies were wrong, right? So, and now I'm a geek. I am a science geek. If you go to my YouTube channel, you're going to see I have videos like with Dr. Stephanie Seneff, with Dr. Rodriguez. I love science and scientists. I am a geek. I'm always doing research. I use modern devices for wellness. I'm into the device healing. But at the same time, I know most of our science is wrong. Because a lot of it's been controlled by politics and business. Right? So the same, like I mentioned earlier about magnesium. Nobody should be buying a magnesium supplement. They should be using magnesium chloride. And I got to tell you, my hero who wrote The Magnesium Miracle, she sells her own magnesium supplements. But they're just magnesium chloride, made to sound more fancy. Right?
and she pump up the price?
She does actually, yes. So I mean, I still have to respect her for the work that she did. The Magnesium Miracle is an excellent book, but I was a little heartbroken. But you know, look, I understand people need to make a buck, but so look, the boron and the colloidal silver and the magnesium oil are 3 things that are really easy for you to make at home. They cost you the colloidal silver has the initial investment of like $160 for a device. But other than that, they cost you almost nothing, and they're so powerful. And as I mentioned, like the clay, the other stuff, also everything here is intended to be very cheap and very effective. And that's it, right? These things, that QR code will take you to my link tree, where you'll find links to everything. I have links to everything on my link tree. I have a link to a page for cheap power tools, which will point you to the magnesium oil, the MSM, even examples if you want to buy them on Amazon, etc. I do have some cards out here. We still have time for me to answer questions? It's okay? Okay, so yeah, you have another question back there? Yes, about kefir.
We do sell it in health food stores. You get a quart of it, they manufacture it. What I've done is use that as a starter to make some more. Is that the same as what you run another?
It is not the same, but thank you very much, because I wanted to mention that. I'm going to give a shout out to, oh no, not in this area, but out by me, Freedom Hill Farms sells a pretty good kefir. But the stuff in the store is not the same as you making it on your own. And they can't because of legal issues. So, which is really unfortunate. But it's a great way to get started. So buying some kefir in the supermarket is a great way to get started, because I got to tell you, kefir is so powerful. It is going to radically change your digestion. And so a lot of times we'll tell people, if you're making your own at home, we tell people, the first day take just a sip or two. If you're not exploding with diarrhea, the next day drink a little more, right? And a lot of people can go quickly, to a cup a day. Some people drink a quart a day. Now, when you're doing the double fermented, like I mentioned earlier, I'm blending mine with bananas, and I'm just making these wonderful, delicious super shakes. So in that case, if I'm drinking a quart, I'm really only drinking a couple glasses of just kefir, right? But no, it's not equal. Make homemade. There's nothing equal to homemade. You can't get homemade in this.
Something sold in the supermarket, is that made with kefir ingredients?
Most of it is not, no. So that's the other problem. When you make it at home, that culture, right, that we reuse has probably about 60 different bacteria and yeast. The supermarket, they're using, or when they're mass manufacturing, they're using a powder, which has maybe 15 different strains, not nearly as powerful. So the difference is with the homemade kefir, when I do my second ferment and I throw in all this other stuff, I have 60 different bacteria and yeast to break down all that stuff. It's not only getting rid of the lactose, it's not just the sugars, it's breaking apart the proteins. That's why the amino acids and the peptide profiles are crazy, because the kefir, it's not just the sugars, it's ripping apart the proteins, right? And then creating these amazing peptides. Yes, so much going on. Yes?
Yeah, what about in Europe, you see kefir all over the store?
Yes, okay, so the laws in different countries are going to enable different things. Where you might go to Europe and there might be a cafe that's selling homemade kefir. Now I'm working with people to try to do that in some locations. There's actually a cute shop. They want to do the homemade kefir out of their dessert shop, which would be great. And it would be legal there, because it's like a coffee shop kind of thing.
But the ones that you buy in the store in Europe,
I wouldn't know, like I would have to research each country, the laws, and even the store. Yeah, it's complicated. Yeah, there's a lot of restrictions. Yes, Harvey.
The milk that you buy today is so devoid of anything whatsoever.
Correct.
That the enzymes are all destroyed by pasteurization.
Correct.
The homogenization prevents you from absorbing the oils the way you should.
Correct.
So I understand making it for raw milk, but can you explain where you can get raw milk? Well, we know a few places, but raw milk certainly would be the ideal thing to use.
Yes, raw milk would be ideal. Usually we have to go to a farm, right? We've got to go to a farm to get it. However, I do want to point out, so what happens is, like you're saying, the milk in the supermarket is like denatured. Like the proteins are, and this is wrecking havoc in the body. But what happens is, even the denatured protein, the kefir can still break that down. So when the kefir takes, the casein proteins tend to be the problem, and they're huge. Right now they get malformed, but the kefir literally unravels them and breaks them down to create amino acids. Most of the peptides and amino acids in kefir come from the casein proteins. So a lot of your whey is still left in there. And the whey tends to be less damaged. The caseins are the big problem. But it's the same thing with a lot of the nutrients. So even, I still would say get the best milk you can, like get non-homogenized if possible. I don't have any recommendations for New Jersey area, I don't know. I'm out in Middletown, New York. I tell people go to Adams, and you can get some really good non-homogenized milk that's pasteurized at low temperature. This is a much better, which addresses the concerns you're pointing out. Stay away from the ultra pasteurized stuff. No. Oh, question? A2 can also help. So this is a little bit controversial. Yep. So here's the thing. If you can get, now, if you get ultra pasteurized organic A2 milk, no. It's much better. So this is where it gets tricky, right? Everybody turns it into a business game for profit. So if you can get, like, again, I'm going to mention Adams Fair, I forget the full name, but it's, I don't know if they have Adams out here, but I can go and I can get, there's like a RIS brand milk where it is A2, non-homogenized, and low temperature pasteurized. So I got the best of all worlds. But if you have a choice between A1 non-homogenized or A2 homogenized, I would choose the A1. There's a very tiny percentage of people that will be affected by the A1. So it's still better to get the A2, but not at the cost of the pasteurization and the homogenization, as Harvey was pointing out, those are the worst things. They destroy the dairy.
Joe can tell us where he gets his raw milk.
Oh, just
I got my milk raw from Pennsylvania delivered to Jersey, North Jersey, they cover it.
Dutch Meadow Farms.
It's called Uttermilk.com.
Oh no, Udder Milk. I used to get from Udder Milk.
They charge $3 delivery now.
Yeah. So Udder Milk, and I want to mention also Dutch Meadow Farms. There's an interesting thing about Dutch Meadow Farms too, and they deliver to certain points, like Uttermilk does. Dutch Meadow, they have, oh my gosh, the cows, Dutch belt cows, which the milk is almost homogeneous. The fat globules are very small. So a lot of people prefer this because it's like closer to goat milk, kind of. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Joe.
Just
Yes?
a quick question. I know you mentioned kombucha. Is that okay as a supplement instead of a...
Okay, very good. Thank you for asking that. Because I did want to talk about the kombucha a little bit in comparison. Kombucha is not nearly as good as kefir. And by the way, there is a water kefir. So let's say you really can't do dairy. Maybe you just can't stand the texture, the taste, or there are a small percentage of people that legitimately can't do dairy. Water kefir. There is a water kefir which is far more powerful than kombucha. Much better than kombucha. And let me give you a quick example. You can't use molasses or cane sugar when you make kombucha, because the kombucha is not powerful enough to handle that sugar, because it can't get around the mineral, because there's a lot of minerals in molasses and stuff, right? It's a much more complex situation. Water kefir can. Water kefir is much more diverse than kombucha. And because of that, it's also much less likely to get contaminated. Yes, in the back, way in the back. Oh. I love coconut milk. I think anything coconut is fantastic for your health. Coconut water, coconut milk, coconut cream. Also because it's good for the environment. So again, I'm always conscious about it. And you can ferment it. Yeah, so this, right, you're talking about the kefir. So here's the thing. You can take milk kefir and you can put it into coconut milk and you can ferment that. However, those grains have to go back to the dairy. Eventually they will die. They will eventually starve to death in the coconut milk. Even though they can ferment it, the balance will be wrecked and it will fall apart over the long term. So you can, let's say if you have milk kefir, maybe once a week, you can make coconut milk kefir. And I would certainly recommend it. That's really cool. It's really nice. And by the way, the dairy, it doesn't have to be cows. It can be cow milk, goat milk, buffalo milk, any kind of mammalian milk. You can put the kefir, the milk kefir grains in. The water kefir goes into water with different kinds of sugar, juices. Water kefir is pretty good. So if you're looking for something different or something far superior to kombucha, water kefir is the answer.
And then just one more quick question. The MSM, what was the, did you give us a milligrams that was that?
Oh, like they'll tell you on the bottle like 3 grams a day, but I'm going to tell you you can use 10 times that amount if you want.
Okay, and Amazon you said was okay?
Yes, like Doctor's Best or Now brand.
Okay.
There are many good brands, so I don't have to be too picky with MSM.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just a question about MSM. If you have a sulfur allergy, would that be something
Excellent question. This is one way to get around that. So she asked if you have a sulfur allergy. So I want to clarify, there's actually no such thing as a sulfur allergy because we would die without sulfur. But some people are allergic to certain sulfur compounds. And so then they have to avoid, like maybe they can't consume cruciferous vegetables, for example, and now they have a sulfur deficiency. MSM could be a way around that. For most people, it will be. Right? Yes?
DMSO is even more effective than MSM. There was given very little publicity.
This is okay. Another good point, right? Harvey's talked about I prefer MSM to DSMO, and the reason the only difference is one oxygen. They're almost identical molecules. The DMSO is a better carrier. It's more potent. So the problem is that I can take tons of MSM. MSM is cheaper, and I have greater variability with the dosage. So with the DMSO is really nice, like for certain protocols when I'm using it specifically as a carrier, right? And sometimes where there's like for the gut healing, I can tell you that MSM is equal. I have a great conversation with AI about this. Because what happens when you, by the way, never trust AI, right? The AI, I have lots of conversations. I love to make AI just look like a fool. And I say, why are you lying to me? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I was telling you what is commonly understood. I was like, yeah, but that's wrong. So I was like, can you actually deduce the truth for me? Can you go do more research? So I have these great conversations, and one of them is where I do this comparison because, and I'm a big fan of that also, right? Because it's natural. The MSO is natural too, so it's very good. It's just that MSM is more cost effective, and we could say safer to use. Although I don't want to imply that DMSO is not safe, right? I don't want to give that implication because, as you said, DMSO is another very powerful health tool. It's very hard to keep this list to 10 things, right? So I could have added that to the list also because it's another one that's not appreciated. By the way, it's a great combination with colloidal silver or other things.
It carries it right through the skin.
Yes, exactly. It's a really, really good carrier. Very good. It's more reactive. Let me see, it's a little more reactive. Almost identical molecules. Very good. Did I get everybody's questions? What? One more?
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, just type in your name and we'll find all your videos.
Yes, you can search for my name or you can search for Vitagenics and you'll find me. Now, I'm glad you asked this because there's something I want to point out. I can go to my channel. I can be on my channel and I can search for like silver or something and it will not show me my own videos. So please do be careful. The censorship and the shadow banning. So shadow banning means they didn't remove my stuff. They just won't show it in search results. So it's tricky. If you have any problem, just reach out to me. Send me an email. I have cards on the table. My email. Send me an email or a text or something, and I'll just send you the direct link. Yeah, because it's crazy. Even I can't get to my own stuff.
What you
Yes.
feel about oil and oregano?
Okay, this is another great thing. I'll address oil of oregano and all essential oils. Nature is amazing. I love it, but I never recommend oil of oregano. The reason why, and again, this is unfortunately related to business. Everybody's making a lot of money on essential oils. I love essential oils. I love aromatherapy. They're great, but they tend to be overused. You're going to wreck your kidneys. A true shaman, right? Everybody's a shaman these days. A true shaman never had people using all these powerful plants every day. It was very rare, very specific, or very short term.
I keep it in my life. If I feel like I'm getting a cold, I take 10 drops and give it water.
That's a nice idea.
Only when I feel like
Okay.
I'm sick.
Yeah, so like having things like that in your medicine cabinet is great.
My vitamin.
Or vitamin closet. Yeah, that's a much better term. That's nice. Yeah.
What she recommend?
Talking about oregano oil. Having it on hand to use to help like boost your immune system to fight if you feel a cold or a flu coming on. There's a lot of great things like that. Yeah, so there are so many tools. I love all the different practices that are out there. I work with a lot of different people. I love herbalists and all that kind of stuff. I love the Bach flower remedies. I don't know if anyone's heard of those. There's so many great things. The trick is to know when to use things. What things are just kept on the side for an emergency. Try not to overuse, because the plant medicine is very powerful, and a lot of us are wrecking our kidneys and doing damage by using too much of a good thing. That's why, like here, like I mentioned the colloidal silver, I can't hurt myself, right? 10 parts per million. Nobody can hurt themselves with colloidal silver. They're not going to turn blue, and they're not going to die. So that's why these are the tools that I picked, were the things that I felt could be the safest, right? The safest, the easiest. And these are the tools that they're the base of all my protocols. So I have several videos like this. Oops, sorry, I accidentally hit that. Let me go back. I have several different videos. I have like a 15-minute version of this. I have a 1-hour version of this. Basically, the same items. I go over, and I have a lot of other videos with a lot of other items. I have videos that do deep dives of each of these. I'm not sure how many videos are still up on colloidal silver because they tend to get taken down, but there are still some out there. And I have articles also for those that like to read or prefer reading. If you search my name, you will find me on a bunch of different podcasts, like so with the Western Price Foundation, also My Ideal Day. If you like the sound of a British voice, there's a British guy that I think I've been on his show 4 times, maybe. There's a few others out there. So, yes.
Yeah, we are being so inundated by EMFs, like particularly cell phones right now.
Yes.
And I would like you to say something about earthing.
Yes. Oh my gosh, earthing is so powerful to help protect us against EMFs. So I have a guide on earthing. Also, I have like a short 1-page guide on earthing. It gives you a whole bunch of, not earthing. I'm sorry, on EMFs. I have devices. I talk about different ways to protect us against EMFs. A lot of different strategies. So definitely go to my website and search for EMF, and you will get a great guide on that. So you're talking specifically about grounding, like try to walk barefoot, or some of you, does anybody use grounded bed sheets? Does anybody ground themselves when they're sleeping? You're fantastic, right? So I know you do, Michael. So I know one of my buddies here. There's a great doctor back here. To give a shout out to Mike. By the way, we have a video out too, actually. But yeah, so grounding is so helpful because you're trying to keep that electrical balance in the body, and all of these different electromagnetic fields, unnatural electromagnetic fields, are hitting your body and just wreaking havoc. And so grounding can be very helpful for that. There's a lot of different ways to shield. Again, go go take a look at my guide. There are devices that we can use to offset. One of the biggest things with EMFs, one of the biggest problems, it's the idea that there's the constant 24/7 that you're being hit from the same signal. This is a big problem. That's so unnatural. So we need to get away from that, those unnatural signals that are hitting us 24/7. And so there are some devices out there that the way they help you is they hit your body with all these other kinds of signals at higher strengths to take your body's attention away. So it's an interesting strategy. So there's a lot of different strategies. But grounding is one of the, it doesn't cost anything, right? So grounding is so cheap. It's not only just about walking barefoot, or you get shoes that are grounded. You can get straps that you can put on any shoe that will help ground you. Ground when you're home. You can put straps on your ankles, straps on your wrist, and then, and then you connect it to a grounding wire. They're very, very powerful.
Ground your bed.
Yes, grounding the bed. I think that's one of the easiest, because then you're sleeping for 8 hours. You're in your bed 8 or 10 hours. Very, very good. Are we okay for more questions?
Yeah, Mike Vanzo he said he has some items on earthing also. Could Mike tell us about
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I don't sell them, but with earthing, basically we're more positively charged and the ground is more negatively charged. So what's happening is that we're sucking all the positive ions out of our body when we're in contact with the earth. And it's really, really good when you go to the beach and you're by the ocean, so it's salt air, and when you're in the wet sand, it really is like grinding on steroids, because you're really sucking those, because the salt also aids with the ocean to pull all those positive ions out of our body. That's why a lot of people, their skin gets clearer, they feel a lot less stress when they're by the ocean, and so basically, we need to also alkalize our body more, and because we're way too many positive ions in our body. So, going on an alkalizing diet, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Mike? They can listen to me. You and I have a video together. So we have a video. Yes. So we have, and that one's we have 2 videos together. The one we were focusing on autism and crystals, the tourmaline. So definitely take a look, because Mike has got a lot of good things to say. We probably got a couple of hours of conversation that we have up there, and so he and I hang out sometimes. So we're very well aligned. And I want to also to tap into something else you said. I'm going to connect Dr. Senef and another point to being near the ocean and getting the salt water. That water that comes out of the mist is also lower in deuterium. And deuterium is heavy hydrogen, which is very bad for us and breaks our mitochondria, or breaks the engines in the mitochondria. And so that water from the mist from the ocean, that humid sea air, is good for all the reasons that Mike mentioned, plus it's low in deuterium. And I have a video with Dr. Senef where we touch upon that a little bit. So yeah, there's so much good information out there. And yeah, you mentioned too about how our bodies tend to be too acidic, and so all these things we want to do, the pH, your body has different pH in all the different parts. So it's a little bit complicated when we start talking about alkaline, because you can't just drink a ton of alkaline water and fix everything, and that could be detrimental. Right? So yeah, it gets complicated when we start talking about alkalinity. But those are great. The salt is so important.
You mentioned about water before. That water is so toxic. I did calculations on this because the Environmental Working Group has a website you go to with the zip code in, and it shows the toxicity of any local municipal water anywhere in the country. And I figured out for Paramus, 6 drops of water from Paramus in a gallon of distilled water makes it toxic. 6 drops.
Wow.
I didn't catch that. Makes you
And
what?
forever chemicals.
Makes it toxic. He said 6 drops of Paramus water. 6 drops per
If
gallon.
you're not drinking pure water, you're
You want to filter your water, right, exactly.
Behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. I have hours of video on water. I talk about water filtration, water structuring. I kind of geek out. I have videos where I actually show you molecularly how water is structured and all that stuff.
And the mountain water, as far as when the sunlight hits water, it structures the water.
Right.
That's why it's so good to even take water in glass container and put it outside, just in the sun. Because, you know, during prehistoric times, all the water we drank just about the surface water that was hit by the sun. We don't get that anymore, so go back to the ancestors.
Exactly. So in the home, what he's talking about, I mentioned in some of my videos, the things I do with water in the house, I'm trying to mimic nature. We're trying to, like he said, the water was exposed to the sun and it was in motion. Right? Yes, question.
What type of water filtration system do you recommend?
Wow, okay, so that's really complicated and personal. My favorite thing is just the pitcher, tabletop pitchers, like a zero water filter or similar. The competition is always changing, filters are always getting better. But the reason why I like the tabletop is because you are more likely to actually change the filter. A lot of house systems people forget about, they don't maintain, they get horrible. If you're maintaining it, that's great. But when you've got the tabletop, I now bypass whatever happened in the house, right? The water goes into the pitcher, it gets filtered. You test that with a TDS meter, which costs you almost, that's like a $5 meter, or it even comes with the pitcher sometimes. So you know when your filter is failing. Then you take that filtered water, you put some good salt into it, maybe you structure it, maybe you vortex it. There's all kinds of things. I have a lot, like I said, I have a lot of information, a lot of different options. Yes?
We may do a whole program on water, because I think it is that important.
Oh, I agree 100%. I would love to see a whole program. I have so many hours of video on water because there's so much to talk about. There are so many aspects between the filtering and the structuring and the energizing. Yes, Mike.
Also, it's very important to get a chlorinating shower head, because the chlorine outgases in hot water, and you breathe in the chlorine, which is highly toxic.
Yes.
And it absorbs through your skin too. Is anything above, if it's a 500 Dalton rule of skin absorption, any molecule above 500 molecular weight has a hard time penetrating the skin. Anything below 500 gets in the skin very easily.
I'd like to make one more point on that.
Okay.
Yes, as far as water is concerned, in this area of New Jersey, we do not have fluoridation, thank God. In central Jersey, they do. But we do have chlorination. Now, chlorination is not medicating a person. Fluoride is. Its actually purpose is medicating you. So that supposedly it helps your teeth. But we won't get into that now because it's a whole evening in itself. But the chlorine can be easily eliminated by not only filtration, carbon filtration, but leaving an open pitcher of water in the refrigerator overnight. Chlorine will gas off, and you'll get rid of 70 to 80% of the chlorine just by gassing it off overnight in the refrigerator.
Yeah, very nice. I like vortexing my water. I have the water spinning. Brings in more oxygen. Lets the bad stuff off gas. Yeah, but I love the shower. By the way, I use Aqua Bliss shower head filter. Very like. Previously I had the filter, and then I had in the hose after the filter some like minerals, like rocks, to put some minerals back into the water in the shower head. Yeah. And these are cheap strategies, cheap things we can do. There's a lot of cheap, so again, trying to make the tools that are accessible to everybody, and the same thing with water. Like a lot of people can't afford a full house system. So again, the pitcher is one of the cheapest ways to go. It depends, some of them are really expensive when you start calculating, and you have to buy filters all the time. So you got to shop around. Yeah, Mike.
On the same column in the periodic table, you have chlorine, you have also a walnuts in the bread, which is very bad. And then iodine competes with it too. Some people are iodine deficient. So by taking iodine supplements, then you can flush out some of the bad chemicals.
By the way, I do like to use Lugol's solution. I use Lugol's, I rub a little bit on my wrist. I do not do this like every day of my life, but every now and then, I'm like, you know what? Let me make sure my iodine is okay, and I'll just put some iodine. This summer I was doing it because I knew I was in a very toxic environment, so I was using the Lugol's every day.
Iodine deficiency is also related to a lot of cancers.
Yeah, oh, 100%. I have a great video about I have a video on breast cancer, and I talk about the correlation between low iodine and the rise of breast cancer. It's a pretty amazing, scary correlation.
Prostate as well.
Prostate too, yeah.
Endocrine system too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very, very good. And iodine, again, it's such a cheap, easy solution. We just get some Lugol's. Yes.
How do you spell that?
Lugols it's just, and there are some people prefer to supplement with other kinds of iodine, but Lugol's has been around quite a long time, standardized. We know it absorbs pretty easy. I sometimes even put it in my lemon water, but it's really easy. Just rub some into your wrist and rub your wrists
It's
together.
about $15 for a year supply.
Yeah, right, exactly, like, right, so it costs you like nothing, so, and really iodine, wow, and actually, as he's pointing out, it's a powerful detox tool also. It's a nutrient, but it's also a powerful detox tool. There is one caution with iodine. If you had your thyroid removed, you have to be very careful, unfortunately. Hopefully nobody here has had their thyroid removed.
What if they have thyroid disease?
That's okay. Well, iodine could probably help you out a lot. You got to be a little bit careful, Greg, because it goes both ways. And it's a little bit complicated, but almost for certain the iodine is going to be a helpful thing. And you're going to know if it's not. So if you've got thyroid disease, you're probably already getting tested regularly. And then you're going to know if the iodine is going to help you or not.
Iodine can do the same thing as synthroid in supplying T4 and T3 both.
Yes, it's interesting you mentioned that, because if we go down that road, I love the idea of taking the natural thyroid supplements, desiccated thyroid. This is the answer, because there was just a ruling about making the natural supplements, they're banning them or something. The ones that are prescribed, they're going to ban. So I got a client as soon as that happened. And I did the research, and I also went with AI, again, to show them. I said, look at my discussion with AI. Right?
Pfizer is an interesting point. Pfizer bought out Armour Thyroid for the sole purpose of destroying it so that it would not be in competition with Synthroid.
Oh, that's interesting. So I'm sure they were behind the legislation to them.
Yeah, now there are Synthroid and Westroid, which are still natural. They haven't conquered them yet.
Go with the desiccated. So contact me. I will send you because I didn't make these public yet. But I talk about this, it's very hard to find, but you can find it. The ancient ancestors, there's desiccated thyroid that you can get from a very good source. The argument is that because it is not regulated, you cannot be certain of the amount that you're getting, right? This is always the big argument. But it is something to look into. Yes?
So why are they taking the Synthroid? I mean, I know it's not great, but why are they taking the prescription? Supplements
It's about money. The way, as Harvey is explaining, the pharmaceutical companies want you on their medication. So they want to ban all the natural stuff. What happened was there were a couple of natural brands, but they were natural, that got prescription status. They got approved, right? So they were regulated, and the doctor could give you a prescription for the Armour. It's called Armour.
Armour Thyroid.
Yeah. So, and there was another one. There were two of them, I believe.
NP.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Miguel. But now they're going to lose that status, so that the only option is drugs if you go through your doctor. So I would tell my clients, well, forget about that. Just get the desiccated thyroid. But there's maybe only one brand that is trustworthy right now. And if you are, so the thing is, if you are in that situation, and well, there's one other thing I have to say that's pretty funny. I hate testing. I tell all my clients, please don't get tested anymore. Stop wasting your money on tests. It's just going to create fear. Tests are usually wrong. However, this situation, what we're talking about right now, if you have a very serious thyroid issue, you're obviously getting tested all the time. Now you take the desiccated thyroid, 100% natural. It's just thyroid, a bovine thyroid, and it's dried. And now you're taking that. And it's from a very, very good source in New Zealand, the brand I'm thinking of. Now, if you're getting tested, you're going to know if there is a dramatic problem. The argument is that, well, they're not going to provide you with the consistent amount of T3, T4, etc., and that can be very dangerous.
So you test.
Exactly. So you test. Well, here's the other thing, too. Their argument is so flawed because no human in history ever got consistent input of nutrition anyway, right? So the danger is not nearly as big as they make it sound, right? But you should still be getting tested if you're gonna do it.
The big advantage of being natural is that it supplies T3. Synthroid supplies T4, which the body has to convert to T3. If you're over 50, you don't convert T4 to T3.
Right, it's much, much better. But besides that, you get all the other metabolites that are coming along with it. You wanted to add something in the back? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that even if you take a prescription, you're still not guaranteed to get the right amount or whatever, because you don't take it every day. And, you know,
Right.
Same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, the arguments are flawed. Like I said, I have a really nice, long conversation with, I think maybe it's with ChatGPT that I can send to anyone that's interested. I want to make these, so I have a lot of things that are not public because I just get shadow banned. The more controversial things I publish, the worse my status becomes online, and then I can't make any money because nobody can find me. Most of my clients are online, but it's tough. It's tough. So we need things like this to get the information out to people, right? So I'm very grateful to you guys for doing things like this because I want to spread the word more and more. And, it's Ancient Ancestors. I'm forgetting. It's in the New Zealand brand. Somebody probably knows. It's Ancient. I think it's called Ancient Ancestors, but for some reason it doesn't sound right to me right now. But you can find it like on Amazon. So here's the problem though. If you go to Amazon and you find that brand, like look for like desiccated liver, they have all kinds of desiccated stuff. The desiccated thyroid will not be on Amazon. You're going to have a hard time. You're going to have to go to the company's website. So even for it's incredible the way they suppress the natural stuff in so many different ways. So these little tricks you've got to know. The desiccated thyroid you're not going to find on Amazon anymore. You're going to find 100 things that are close to it, that sound like it. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. But it does exist. Yeah, you can get it. Again, if you can't find it, contact me. I'm just having a brain fart right now, or I'm not confident in the name of the company. But they have a lot of desiccated products coming from a farm in New Zealand. It's all organic, etc., grass-fed stuff. Yeah, good products. I like desiccated things for. I don't like supplements. I don't like people popping magnesium pills or vitamin D. You want vitamin D? I can give you a capsule with mushrooms in it, a great source of vitamin D, or fermented cod liver oil. So there are great natural supplements where we're just putting nature in a pill. I don't like processed things are not good. We have too many problems with isomers and such. Yes? Mushroom, you'll actually, I don't know if I link it directly, but there is one company, the company that has the zeolite, also makes a whole bunch of supplements, which are not really supplements. Everything comes from food. Like they have a super green juice, and they have a bunch of different capsules, which I usually don't recommend. But they do have one, which is like the focus is for the vitamin D. And it's just mostly mushrooms and some probiotics and enzymes in a capsule. Mushrooms, so here's a funny thing. What, do you think that a mushroom is more like you or more like a flower? In many ways, a mushroom is more like us. Fungi are more human than they are plant. In many ways. It's a fun argument to have. And so the mushrooms can make vitamin D. They do. And then you can take the mushrooms, you expose them to ultraviolet light, and wow, they produce a ton of vitamin D. Yeah, so they can be great mushroom supplements. The other thing is fermented cod liver oil is probably the best. I'll give a shout out to a company, Green Pasture. Fantastic company. They make the best cod liver oil, but a lot of people can't tolerate it. It's too strong. It can give them upset stomach. They're very, very nutritious. The Western Price Foundation has a few recommendations. They'll talk about like Rosita, which I don't like because they get involved in a lot of nefarious business activities. So a lot of times when I talk about products, I want to make sure I'm promoting a company that cares about the earth. Because if the company is destroying the world I live in, well then I don't want to support that. So I'll give you an example. Palm oil. Palm oil is so great. But please don't ever use palm oil because they burn the forests for the palm oil. Don't use palm oil. I don't care how good it is. It's not good for the world if we use palm oil. It's not sustainably farmed. So like coconut products, we talked earlier about coconut products, very sustainable.
MCT.
Oh my God, Harvey, I'm so glad you mentioned this, but you might not be happy with what I'm going to say. Okay? MCT oil comes from coconuts, right? Very healthy for you. But we don't want a processed oil, right? MCT oil became popular because it was the garbage from the beauty industry. Because coconut oil has 4 different MCT oils in it. And the beauty industry liked 1 or 2 of those for their beauty products, and they would throw away the others. So other business people realizing that, hey, MCT oil is healthy. Give us your garbage. But we don't want processed oil. You want coconut oil. You want virgin organic coconut oil. Coconut oil is 51% MCT oil. So there's no reason to go and buy MCT oil. Coconut oil is 51% MCTs. And coconut oil has a whole bunch of other fantastic stuff for you. Right? So it's much better to use coconut oil. The MCTs are great, but I really don't like them because they're highly processed. So during processing, you don't know what else is being done to the oil. What else might get caught up in that oil? Has it been denatured? Right? We don't know how damaged it might be. So while MCT oil is great, I would say never buy MCT oil. Just get coconut oil. This is controversial because I know there's people out there that like to use it in their coffee, and they're not going to put coconut oil because now you got issues with the flavor profile. And as I said earlier, you want to love your stuff, right? But try, right? So if you're using MCT oil, try to go to a full coconut oil instead, because you're going to get more benefits and potentially reduce toxin intake. And our world is yes, Joe.
Do you use it for eating or frying or on the skin?
Oh, good question. All of the above. So coconut, I have a funny video on popcorn as superfood. Now, I can't cook most things with coconut oil because I don't like the flavor, but there are certain things I can cook and I can't tell it was coconut oil. Popcorn is one of those things. Now, popcorn in the movie theater is toxic, but you make popcorn at home in coconut oil, you won't know you used coconut oil. Now I get a ton of coconut oil. Now top that with nutritional yeast and good salt, you got a superfood. It's great. And the popcorn kernels, they're not going to be GMO or anything. I don't even think there is a GMO. You can get organic kernels if you want to be really safe, but as far as I know, while most corn is GMO, and we don't want that, popcorn is not.
Not yet.
Not yet. Good point, Mike. Not yet. So you to be on the safe side, grab they do have organic popcorn.
How could it know if corn is
Mostly, yeah.
genetically modified? How could
Oh, because there are different strains of corn. Yeah, so for some, I don't know why they use some different strains for the popcorn. Yeah, it's not from the same farming. Not 100% of corn is GMO. 95%, I think 95% of corn and soy are GMO at this point. It's very sad. But we do, like we have a lot of farms, small farms that, they grow heirloom corn and stuff. There is still clean corn out there. So you'd be surprised, popcorn can be good. Or potato chips, make your own potato chips at home with the coconut oil. I have a video, search for popcorn, and I mentioned potato chips, popcorn, etc. So there are some good tricks. Yes, Frank.
Most people use olive oil because they think it is so great, but it has a very low flesh point. Coconut oil has a high flesh point, so it's much better to use for cooking.
Yes, yeah, this is a very good point. So the coconut oil does not get damaged as much by the cooking. There's one other advantage. I also love olive oil. However, most olive oil is counterfeit.
Is what?
Counterfeit. It's not really olive oil, or it has canola oil mixed in. So if you're going to use olive oil, you got to be really careful about the brand. You have to be very careful. Whereas coconut oil, we don't have to worry about that. Because because of the coconut oil is just so easy to get, so it's a very safe bet. And as he was saying, it doesn't get damaged as easily by heat. But I can't cook with it all the time. So I use a bunch of, we should go back to tallow and lard. If you can get good lard from a farm, pig fat, great for cooking, beef fat.
Butter for cooking.
Butter, absolutely. By the way, I do mix in butter.
Real butter.
Real butter, right? Grass-fed yellow butter. So when I do the popcorn, and my wife is sitting there, she's probably getting excited because she has me make popcorn for her almost every night. And I do the oil, I put the coconut oil, and then I add some good butter for flavor and nutrition.
And Irish butter is grass-fed.
Yes, I don't know if all Irish butter is grass-fed, but hopefully it is, yeah. The culture, yeah, most of it because of the culture. Wait, Kerrygold. Yeah, Kerrygold is good. Mike wants to comment?
You gotta be careful because, and a lot of people get conned by this because it says grass-fed, just means it comes from grass. 100% grass-fed you're gonna get.
Right, like grass-fed, grass-finished, like we say with the meat. Yeah, 100%. You can tell by the color also. So that the butter should be yellow, not white. So Kerrygold, there's a lot of controversy around Kerrygold, but it is consistently yellow. One problem with Kerrygold is they do put out a butter that is not so great.
How do you know?
You can see on the label, they have one, I think it's mixed with olive oil and something else. But the color is a really good giveaway. Butter should be yellow. And it will be more yellow in spring if you're getting it from a farm, in the early part of the year that's just because of the pastures providing more vitamin A. Yeah. So, look for butter that's yellow. There's an Amish butter out there that is absolutely not good.
Not good?
Not good. Look, it's white as a ghost. Yeah.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right. I went to I don't think it was a farmer's market, a flower place, and I saw Irish butter, and I just grabbed it. I was like, oh, this is good. And I drink it. I said, wasn't 100% grass-fed.
Right, exactly. I have the same.
So sometimes I'll use like just a little, because you want to throw it out.
I had the same experience. I in a supermarket. I saw Amish butter and I just grabbed it. I got home and I was like, what?
It's not 100% grass-fed.
Yeah.
I forget what's in it,
Right.
but it's not.
And she's talking about we're talking about the brand, Harvey. The Amish people, I'm sure, make fantastic butter, but there's a brand of Amish butter that is absolutely not
It was
good.
wrapped up in like
Yes.
paper, label, Amish butter, like.
I got fooled by the same thing.
It's
Yeah.
the company using that word.
Exactly, it's a company, right? So again, it was a business trick. Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Those are the lessons we remember, right? When we get beat up by something. I mean, I learned a lot because I was going to say I'm old, but in this crowd, I guess I can't really say that. But I am over 60, so, I mean, but I haven't earned the right to say that you guys have been around a lot longer than me. But Yeah, I didn't. I guess I should have mentioned my age at the start, but I was born in '64, so.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. I'm just a baby compared to some people here.
You're a thrill.
Everybody's snickering at me now. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So look for butter that's yellow and not colored artificially yellow, of course. So, and yes, a brand of olive oil. Off the top of my head, I'll mention. And this is an interesting, controversial one. Costco. Now this is really funny. Costco has good and bad olive oil. Originally, they had a really great, their own olive oil grown in California. I'm Italian, so I don't like to admit this. But it was a great olive oil. Then, Costco started bringing in an imported Italian olive oil, which is not so good.
And is it in plastic?
And they look almost, yeah, they're in the plastic containers. They look almost the same. Usually you want a single source. So for example, Costco's brand, Kirkland olive oil, you want their California olive oil. Yeah, you don't want their Italian one, unfortunately, I have to say that. Yeah, Richard.
I've been buying at Costco, I think it's from Spain, it's 2 glass bottles together. I think that's right.
It might be, but I would check if it's single source, because I know Costco, things are changing a lot. So I don't keep up on the details. It might be a really good one. Because great olive oil comes from all over the world too. It doesn't have to be just from Italy. There are a lot of good Italian brands, which I can't think of off the top of my head right now. I should be ashamed of myself. Yes?
I use Duval. It's the same company that makes all the gluten-free products.
I got to tell you that Jovial.
Yeah,
Okay, so unfortunately, the founder passed away a few years ago. She's one of my heroes. So Jovial, if you can afford their olive oil, please support that company, because there's another beautiful thing that Jovial did. Jovial started by bringing back einkorn wheat. Einkorn, now I have videos on this. I used to bake my own bread with einkorn wheat every week. Einkorn wheat is the original wheat. Very different from the modern garbage we have now. A little difficult to cook with, to bake with, but Jovial, wonderful brand, beautiful company, good olive oil.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. I assume because they've taken so many steps, I want to believe that it is.
Yes, they are. Thank you so much for mentioning them, because my heart goes out to them. They are really, I absolutely love them. And like I said, I love them for the einkorn wheat, and then,
They make these gluten-free pasta. It doesn't-
yes,
It doesn't taste
yes.
like
yes,
How do you spell the name?
Jovial. Jovial. Yes, great company. Not a big company, but they're growing. Did you want to add something to that?
Yes. I wanted to say the California, green bottles.
Oh, I don't know.
Now, you may need to get.
All right, let me come back to, she had a question in the back?
I'll
What do you use for as a natural antibiotic?
I use colloidal silver as my natural antibiotic, which I use topically and internally, right? But, so here's the thing, antibiotic. So if you think about that, in the presentation, I talked about kefir a lot, and I talked about EM. These microbes, right? When you bring more fermented food into your diet, those bacterias, they're all producing their own antibiotics. They are killing the bad stuff. So for example, kefir is almost unkillable. It cannot get contaminated unless you starve it to death first or dry it out. It will kill every other bad microbe with its own antibiotics. So probiotics are, in a way, some of your best antibiotics. So I have to say, the kefir helps to keep me healthy too. It's fighting off the bad bacteria. Constant germ warfare is happening all the time. Right? Does that help answer your question? A little bit? contact me, I can give you some additional information. Yes?
I was right, it's called, I said California olive branch, oil.
I'm not familiar with that brand. No. I know there are good, so I think it's a moving target, right? We have to always be diligent. And let's say if you find a brand and you fall in love with it, you have to keep checking. Because a lot of times a company will sell out and then they're no good anymore. Right? I have watched a lot of my heroes fall over the years. Brands I used to be able to recommend, I can't anymore. Right? So,
Tom's of Maine was put out by, fulvic.
oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, it's a good example. Unfortunately, there are many good examples. It's very sad. So there's a company. You'll see one of the companies the company with the zeolite, which also sells a whole bunch of green products, and their green juice stuff is certified organic by international standards. Their certifications are incredible, and it's a private company that will never sell out. I speak to the owners, so I know I can trust them. And all of their products I can trust. Yeah, I don't use them all, but I can see the ethics of the company from any of the products that I look at. And that's something, it's another way to judge. If you see a company that's got one good product and 6 bad products, is that one good product, can we really trust it? Right, so think about that. When you evaluate a product, you evaluate the company, look at their entire portfolio. Because we know companies lie a lot. They get caught. We find out later. Oh my God, I was using that for 5 years. I didn't realize I was poisoning myself. So we have to remain vigilant, unfortunately. But again, it's kind of good because that gets back to my hidden agenda of keeping you in touch, keeping you connected to your food, right? Play with your food, get more involved. We have to take more responsibility. Right? We really have to look, and it's not that bad. You make it a game, It's like you got to gamify things, right? It's a challenge, a fun challenge. Did I get to everybody's questions?
I think that's covered pretty well.
It's good. Well, thank you all very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you very much, Harvey and Joe. Thank you for having me.
It's been a real pleasure, and you've given us a lot of excellent information, and I want to thank you very much.